Bum, bum, bum. Okay. All right. Why is it picking up the fan so much? Can you hear me? Test, test, test. Can you hear me? Test, test, test. Yeah. Yeah. All right. That works. All right. So let's have a look at what is going on. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to close all these and we're going to make a new one. So I'm just going to do this for the sake of YouTube, but basically we're going to be doing a lesson today on importing and exporting goods. Should hopefully last about 50 minutes because that's how much time I've got, maybe a little bit longer before I've got to go out. I do a lot of importing and exporting. Am I the Mr. Tingler? No, I'm an imposter. Yeah, I am. I've got a terrible mustache now. For the next month, we're going to have a terrible mustache. Hey, Maldark. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, we're going to talk about importing and exporting. It's something I do loads of. I import and export to MJ. I have 2 characters that list items here. And I also do it to all of the trade hubs in HiSex that you would recognize. So from Jita to Amar, Heck, to Dixie. I don't do Wrens because Wrens is a terrible place to be. You don't want to do Wrens. Dixie, Amar, yeah. I also did a little bit of seeding in Losec, kind of, which was for Fractal Warfare Minmatar, which we seeded Eglenhade for a while, which was semi-successful. Not really, I wouldn't consider it a profitable venture, but it was an interesting one and good fun. Loads of people today, 25. This is the second stream where we've had drops enabled, so you will get the skins in game for watching the stream, which is pretty cool. But how we're going to do this is we're going to just discuss the basic concepts while I make what I consider a new person friendly market trading list. So the first thing to know is this is our market toolbar. You can open it with this button here, the regional market, and you've got the browse button, which lets you see all of the items, and you can apply various filters up here if you want. So I've just got it show only available and region. We're going to change that so it just shows everything and region, so we can see all the things. And then we've got lists here that already exist. I'm not going to show you, but we're going to make a new custom folder and new bro trading for stream. Oh, we'll just put new bro trading. So the basic idea is how can we make money moving things from Jita to MJ? And the first thing we need to do is try and figure out what will sell in MJ, and it's a huge amount of things here. It's kind of tricky, right, to figure out what exactly people might want. There are a few tips or tricks you can use to kind of circumvent that problem, and we'll get up the various websites that will help with that. So with Horde, we have a website called Penny's Seeding. Penny's Flying Circus actually is what it's called. You'll only be able to access this if you can access the Horde system, so you'd have to sign in with a Horde character, but you'll be able to see this website. And essentially, let me just show the screen, do some magic here. Essentially we've made lists, and you can see the lists and what to do. We looked at implants last time. This time let's look at drugs. And this does actually all of the heavy lifting for you. It figures everything out. So we can see here, this is a good one. This might be new player appropriate if you've got a little bit of this behind you. New players, by the way, for what I'm considering a new player for this, is anything from 100 million ISK to about 2 billion ISK. I think that would probably qualify you in that category. So if you've got 100 million ISK, you should be able to use these strategies successfully, and if you've got much more, you should be as well. So what we're looking at here is this information it's given us. So that's the name of the drug, and this O is, if we click it, if we just hover, I think, yeah, active orders. So there's 5, and they want there to be 112. And the reason they want there to be 112 is every 5 days we sell 254 of these, which is just tons. And every 30 days we sell 1,300. So you could import some of these, and you'll definitely sell them. So what it's saying is G to buy. If you buy it off the market in Jita without doing any special effort, you just buy it directly. It's going to cost you 3.1 million. And then if you add on the shipping, that should reach 2% plus 400 ISK, which is roughly what all of our hauling companies do. And then if you add 20% on, which is quite a big profit margin, it's still lower than the price it's trading for here. What we can do is we can copy this. Go to the game, paste, click it, and we can see that's not completely accurate. It's a little bit behind, but it's still relatively accurate. We can also look at the price history here, and yeah, it does sell quite a lot, and it really swings. So we're definitely going to be, it's going to go up. Even if it drops down, it's probably going to go up again. And we've added that, and what we do is we grab this and we just drag it into Nubo trading. There you go, we got our first item. It's going to be the overclocker too. All right. Now we're looking, as a new bro, we're looking for items that move quickly, because we don't have a lot of ISK to work with, do we? So we've got to get items that are going to shift basically. So some of these things, they might be good, like strong mind flood here. It's probably a good idea, right? But we might not, as a new bro, move many of these into MJ. So that is correct. There is none on the market, so we'll add that because it's a good item. But we're not going to move a lot, because if we get stuck with all of our risks stuck in one item, that is really bad for us. We want to keep liquid basically. So you can go through and you can look for loads and loads of things on this. We'll just go back and see if we can find a few new player appropriate things. Ammo is one that a lot of people will go straight for, because ammo gets used a lot. It's got a lot of velocity in how often it gets used. And as you can see, there's some ammos that are a little bit expensive here. Aurora, it's quite a small ammo. You can turn that over for a nice profit. Some rockets. We don't use rockets very much in MJ, so maybe not one to look too hard at. The ammos, people know that this is a profitable thing to do, so the ammunition is probably going to be listed quite commonly. They're going to be a lot of people doing ammo. So we could do thorium there. It's got none in it, but just looking at how much thorium actually moves, 51,000, 200,000, we're maybe not going to move that much of that. I'm just having a quick scan. So Mjolnir Fury light missile. This is essentially a PvE thing, and people are selling it for 199. The shipping is 122, so you can sell this for a profit. But there's not going to be much volume there. So this is also something that we can make locally. Tech 2 items they make locally. So that might just be that somebody's not made some recently, so avoid that maybe a little bit. Alright, and then you've got a few like standard out. You would probably just build this in MJ rather than import it, but you can import it, but I would probably advise just build that. Alright. So what we have here as well is I've actually got both my accounts. So this is my GTA account. So I've set up my new bro trading. What I'm going to do is I'm going to export this quick bar, copy quick bar to clipboard, and I'm going to go to really annoys me that my microphone just like AFK turns itself off, which is, you know, very frustrating if you don't have some active input going. So we'll make some active input going. So this is the GTA character we've exported, and now we want to import. So replace items with the quick bar, and there it is. So we've got those. So you can really quickly build yourself a really good system. Let's investigate this mine flood situation. So why do you think this mine flood is not being imported to MJ right now? And it it might be if we look here. Oh, my voice is completely going. You can see that the mine flood market has historically been around 25 million ISK, and all of a sudden it's 33. So this is an even bigger reason to be cautious here and maybe not import too much of this. We're just going to actually send some money over to this character so we can actually do a little bit. I'm sure you guys will all be copying, and therefore all of these items will become unprofitable, but hey ho. Send him some money. Overclocker, let's have a look there. Overclocker is historically at quite a low price, so this is probably really good time to buy overclocker. So we're going to buy a little bit of overclocker and help that market out a little bit. So we'll buy, this is just to give you guys the full picture. We'll buy 5 of those just because someone needs to take the risk, and it's going to be me today, unfortunately. Alright, let's go back to our Horde character. So this is also very important to note. Putting things in containers does not make it easier to ship them now. Containers are huge, so this is basically station containers are too big to move in a hauler. 2 million M3, there's nothing in the game that can hold 2 million M3, so this is just an organizational thing. It's just a box basically, and it keeps them out of the way. You can see here in MJ I've got like loads of filaments. I like to keep a stock of filaments, and there's random junks ended up in there, and then random junk, and then more random junk. With this, we're talking specifically about importing and exporting to nullsec, and we're using that 2% plus 400 M3 rate to figure out our costs, and we were actually using a website that completely did that for us. Another way to think about it is if you just look for items that are at 20% profit margin and you check that those items aren't really big. So an example of a really big item is compressors. So if we look at a large gas compressor and the attributes, it is 1000 M3. It's really big. And if we look at a capital gas compressor, it's even bigger. It's 2000 M3. So they cost, you know, a little bit more money to move. But if you look at like a skill book is it's nothing. It's 0.001. So they're really cheap to move. Now these items actually do sell, all of these compression books, because we don't have them in nullsec, and you can buy them. If you buy them, they cost you more than they do on the market. So it costs 97,000. I think you can buy it for something like 75,000, and then you could sell that for 80,000, 85,000, and people would be interested in buying it because it would save them a little bit of money. So that's something to consider. What did I want to talk about? There was something I wanted to talk about. You can import big things like ships, but they have to have a really big profit margin. So importing a frigate, for example, we can actually show you how much it costs. So there's no Skybreakers right now on the market in MJ. If we go on to this website here, so you should be able to see this now. There you go. And we copy the Skybreaker in. It's already selected Jita to MJ TAC, which is our staging. You can see that it costs 2 million ISK to import a Skybreaker. And that's the frigates are always the same size, so the only thing that changes that really there is the collateral. So 2 million ISK is more than some frigates are worth. A Tech 1 frigate is less than that. Yeah, people do buy skill books above the eject price. That's just people making a mistake, really, isn't it? But it's true. So this Skybreaker, we can add that to our little new bro list. It's quite expensive item for a new bro to trade in, and it is a bit risky. So I'd probably say you would only want to buy one of those, but there's none on the market in MJ. So if somebody just wants a Skybreaker, they can't get it in MJ right now. So you can take advantage of that, or you can provide that service, you know. Bigger ships, so that was a frigate. We can look at the Impel, maybe. That's quite a big ship. You're gonna have trouble with this. Like, even though it's worth enough money in theory to be doing it, it's 9 million ISK just to move it, because it's 20,000 volume, right? So you'd need to make more than 9 million ISK profit when you sell it, which is why you'll see certain things being imported and exported and certain things not. Mainly based on size. Very, very rarely it's based on they're too valuable to move, but that's not really a thing. The percentages are so low. It's not a problem. One of the things that I liked to keep an eye on with new bro stuff, and actually I'll teach you another trick here. So you've got this folder, you can actually make a new folder inside that. Yeah, we have to put a name in there. Low tier filaments. So I like to keep an eye on the filament market, and that is found under trade goods, weirdly. I think they're just because they couldn't figure out where to put them. So that would be the tranquils and the calms. So as you can see there, calm is really well sorted out for darks. We're going to add them in anyway. Add to quick bar, to quick bar. We're just going to add all these. And then we're going to put in tranquil. Add all of these. Alright, and then what you can do is you can do a shift click, grab them all, and boom, you've got all of the low tier filaments in an easy to search format. And you can quickly just scan through them. You can see here calm electricals. So if we export our quick bar, what I like to do as well is I like to have this on 2 screens, which means I can just look over at the other screen and click down the list at the same time. So you can see the calm electricals are kind of overpriced there, so let's get 700 of them, and that will help sort that out. These are, again, very small items to move, so quite easy to move. Tranquil electricals, how are they doing? They're maybe a little bit overpriced, but nothing terrible. We'll get 50 of those just to help bring that down a little bit. Some of these I can just kind of guess. There's not many tranquil firestorms, and that's something that I like to just keep topped up, so we'll just get a few of those. And these just help those new players get into tier 0 and tier 1 abyssals. That's a nice thing to do. For whatever reason, so is this trading money making strategy relying on a horde courier service to do the moving? Yeah, that's correct, but I'm going to discuss how to do trading in HiSec as well at the end. This is just giving you examples based off horde, because those are the 2 characters I've got up. I'm going to open up some HiSec characters in a second as well. Do you have any preference for the jump freighter service? I usually use beam freight, but I see you using a different one. Any particular reason? I use Dark Horse because I have a good experience with it until I don't have a good experience with them, and then I stop using them. That's basically it. I used to use Evola, and then they stopped, so I stopped using Evola. The way that hauling companies work is that they are highly intense kind of activities. You know, it's a lot of stuff going on, and they will eventually burn out because it's basically a real job in a computer game, and it's great for making money, but eventually those haulers will stop. So I know I have my loyalties. You know, I like the guy who runs Dark Horse. He's a really cool guy. And I don't really know who runs Beam Freight, so you know, I'm sure they're good as well. Horde, because Horde's such a big group, and I'm sure the other big groups have the same thing that happens. Basically, their competition for hauling is high, so it means that the hauling is generally quite cheap regardless of who you use. And if it's a hauling company that's been approved by the Alliance, then they will have been vetted quite well, and they will be relatively trustworthy. So anything that's on that list of haulers that's been vetted by the Alliance, I would have no problems using, and I'd kind of advise you to just use those. Yeah. So you can also import to MJ things that MJ doesn't locally produce. So if we go here to materials and we go to ice products and we look at nitrogen isotopes, they're relatively cheap in GEA, 443. And then if we look at the same thing, nitrogen, we can see that they're 531. Now, you have to do your own research with this and mess around, but you can figure out whether nitrogen isotopes are profitable just by using the calculators. So nitrogen isotopes, we'll put in 1 million because that's I think that's 1 million, maybe. Yeah. And we can have a look. So 1 million isotopes is 15 million-isk to move. And then we've got to look at what the rates are here. So it's 1.5 and 3.6, so it's roughly 5%. And then you've got to work out the difference here. So you can do this yourself, I'm sure. But if you were to buy 450 times 1 billion, 1 million or whatever, it's 450,000 ISK. Nice easy number. And then plus 15. So that's how much it's going to cost us to buy and move it. And then we're going to list. So just remember 465. So what we can do is copy paste that, put it here. And then we're going to sell it at maybe 520. Oh, times by 1 million. And then we're going to times that by 0.95, which is 95% essentially. So that's with the 5% tax. So you can see here 465, you can take that away. So 465, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if we were to move 1 million nitrogen isotopes, we'd make 29 million ISK. And is that a risky thing to do? No. Because look at the nitrogen isotope market, it's drifting all the time, all the way up to 520, back down. It just will hold like this, pretty much. It's a fuel. If we have a big move up, it will completely sell out. It might take a long time to sell. This is probably not something for a new player to do, because it's a $500 million ISK you're investing there to make 30 million ISK. But it's a relatively constant kind of thing. If you just have too much ISK, which some of us do, you can just put it into stuff like that and do these big movements, and you will also make money. Another good example of stuff like this is command centers, which are going to be a little bit more. Turns out I can't spell command center. They're a bit more competitive, but a Baron command center in MJ compared to a Baron command. So these cost 135 in GETA, but you can actually buy them off the NPC for 80,000 to one jump away. So I mean, if you could be bothered to move them, but you can buy quite a few in GETA. Let's look here. That's not what I wanted to do. Right, we'll copy and paste that. They're big though, right? Baron command centers are big. So we're going to move 100. Let's see how much that costs us. It's going to cost 35 million S to do 100. So 35 million divided by 100 is 350,000 ISK each. So real easy maths, isn't it? it's 135 plus 350, 485, and then people are listing those for 999. So they're making 50% profit there. So if we move 100, it's going to cost us somewhere in the region of kind of, I think, 50 million ISK. And then if you list them for this, then you'll obviously making double that. So that's another option. Command centers, quite competitive. Some of them are really expensive. Lava, it's way too expensive. Go in and get that shut down. And you don't have to do, you shouldn't be doing the hauling. It's the hauling courier contract guys who are doing the hauling for you. So there's loads of items you can do. Make yourself a list, build your list up, take things in, take things out. You'll be able to make profit that way. There's loads and loads of stuff you can do there. I'm just going to talk for a little bit about high-sec hauling and trading, because it's a little bit of a different concept. The prices are very fixed in nullsec. And I think for me anyway, my experience is if you're willing to wait a little bit, the prices in high-sec are much, much lower. Yeah, the hauling companies are basically blue, and they won't be killed. They can just, the characters who are operating in the nullsec side of things are gonna not be in trouble. You know, they're gonna be fine. So they have their own ways of doing it. They're not gonna tell you exactly how it works unless you're actually working for them, because that kind of ruins the security of their operation a little bit if everyone and their mom knows exactly how it works. But yeah, they definitely can get stuff to MJ, and they do it daily very efficiently, so very easy for them to do it. Right, let's talk a little bit about high-sec. So this character doesn't have any high-sec stuff. Actually, both of these don't. Let's get the characters who do. Just trying to remember which character is actually in a high-sec sedation. Oh. It's just me showing off that I did the Angel storyline mission to people, and that I made 5 levels of stand-ins or something, so it went from like -2 to 4 or something stupid, which is nice. So this is another G2 character. I've got 2 because I've got too many accounts going on that do trading, and this guy lives in Dixie and he trades stuff into Dixie. So the way I work my courier contracts, you can actually have a look and see some here. So this is there you go, Hector to Dixie. Is I try and get 1 million ISK per jump, and you can look here. This is a 5.5 billion ISK contract. If we were to do, so with Dark Horse, you can do a additional collateral. So 5.5 billion. And then if we just quickly check, it was 17,003. So we can simulate basically what this would be. 17,500. So this would have cost 92 million S to move to MJ, right? But in high-sec, someone will likely take this contract for 1 million S per jump eventually. Now, I always put it at 1 day just so it goes a bit quicker for me, and I always leave it at 30 days because I don't mind waiting. There are lulls in the courier contracts when people aren't busy and they'll take it. And some people are very good at couriering stuff and can do it very consistently, so the risk to them is lower. So they'll be making 18.5, but then they maybe take several of these for a very, very dangerous amount of collateral. One very important point to remember is how collateral works. So you put a number down, and that is the collateral. You don't pay that ISK. That's not ISK that's coming out of your wallets. You don't need 5 billion ISK. You just put that number down, and if that courier contract fails, if they don't make it to destination on time, or if they get blown up, then you get that money. So the amount of items in here is worth a little bit less than this. So probably about 5 billion is what those items are worth. And then I've put 5.5. That encourages them to not steal the items. If you put collateral below the value of items, then people will be encouraged to steal them because the price they pay to steal them is less than the price they're going to gain by selling them on the market. So always put your collateral higher than the actual value. And in high sec, 1 million ISK per jump is kind of the minimum. If you want things moving quicker, you can put 2 million ISK per jump, and you can, if you're moving this much stuff, you'll still make a profit. 18 million ISK is, I mean, we can work it out exactly. 5.5 billion divided by 18. Oh, that was weird. 18,500 is 297. So it's, very, very small. It's like a third of a percent. What is that? How do we do this? 5 or maths. I hate maths. Divided by 100, 55. So it's not 1%. It's less. It's about a third of a percent. Which is ridiculous, Probably I should start putting these at 1% just to be fair, and they probably get moved immediately. That'll be fairer to everyone, but I'm evil and don't do that because people still take them for some reason. Here's some skill books, so you can buy a large disintegrated skill book in Jita, and then if you look here, it's slightly more expensive there. Some of these are much more expensive, so we can probably adjust this one actually. A little bit of market PvP for you there. And then I don't really need to adjust this one, but I will just for the stream. And you can see here, you can go on market orders and you can look at your expiry dates. I always have my expiry dates up at the top. It's much cheaper to modify an order and do this than it is to relist that order. So don't let things expire is basically what I'm saying. And just relist them a little bit, make them stay up there for another 90 days. Yeah, 0.37%, so just slightly higher than a third of a percent. Yeah, market PvP, it's a thing. So, if I was to look at this item here, and I was noticing that it's selling a lot, but these people are blocking me, maybe I would just buy out all of their orders and relist everything higher, and that's a legitimate market PvP thing. Hey, Bakito, how are you going? I feel like my posture is not too bad today. Well, I suppose it's like the cheapest thing you can redeem, isn't it? People just do it, just redeem it. You can see this is so the other fun thing, it's not super useful, but the other fun thing is you can see what's sold on your market orders history. So you can see all of these orders have completed. There's loads of different stuff that sells in Didixie. It's a really good place to sell stuff. For some reason, people buy Concord Rogue Analysis beacons here. See someone selling them for way too high. No one's bought them for that high, but somebody did buy them for the price I put them up at. Which is like, they normally cost 100 mil-ish, maybe 98 mil, and I sell them for a little bit more. That alone, that sale there, the 135, 2 of them, will have made me enough money to cover the cost of importing all of this other stuff, and then I'm just into profits. So a lot of money to be made. Let's look at the Jita character who does this. So this character does a few things. So the overview is a bit balked, but you can see there in a month it's made 172, well, it's moved 172 billion ISK. Now 172 billion ISK isn't how much it's made. So it's made, I like to think it's 10%. I list things at roughly 20%, but probably it's somewhere in the region of 15% profit. But obviously 10% profit on 172 is quite a lot of money. So 172 billion divided by 100 times by 10 is 17 billion ISK in a month. So this is a combination of things that's doing that. This character deals with a lot of sales from the LP broker store. So I would guarantee you that 100 to 120 billion ISK of that is probably the LP brokerage stuff. And then maybe 50 to 70 is the high sec stuff that I'm doing. I feel like I move about 20 billion ISK to 25 billion ISK a month in the various high sec trade hubs, each one. So Heck and Didixie in particular move quite a lot. Amar moves maybe 5 billion because I don't really pay too much attention to Amar. It's very far away from Jita in a high sec route. There is a low sec route that's quicker, but people don't courier through low sec because it's risky, unless it's very small packages. So if you can get a package less than 10,000 M3, people will courier it through low sec for you, and that's not too bad. So a lot of my stuff that I trade in Amar, I'll set on public couriers, and I'll try and make it less than 10,000 M3, and that way people can move it relatively safely for me. I love trade. I want to invest ISK, but I don't know where located my ISK. Well, go find that ISK. That's the first thing to do. We can also talk a little bit about the LP brokerage, maybe? No, it's not really relevant to this topic. So yeah, so it's not complex importing, exporting. You can import Jita as well. You have to understand a little bit more about how things work, and you have to understand why things are expensive or cheap in certain areas. But so the Dixie's maybe not a great example, but let's think of somewhere. Let's load the Amar character up and let's see what he's got going on today. Ooh, I've got to find her first. I think it's this character. Probably not though. No, it's not. It's this one. Let's have a quick look. Hopefully everyone's had a good day. Yeah, there are skills to reduce taxes. So for nullsec, the character who is in nullsec would want to have accounting trained. That reduces the trade tax that goes to CCP. Other than that, you don't really need many skills. You need the listing skills. So there are skills to actually list items. So let's have a look here. So skill catalog, trade. So you've got wholesale, retail, trade, and then I think there's one more. There definitely is one more. Tycoon. So if you train all of these, why is this? Oh yeah, this is the. Then you'll get I think it's 300 something trade orders. You can see this character's not very well trained. It's got 145 orders, but that is plenty for what I'm using it for. You can see here that the MR trading I'm not paying much attention to. Actually, probably if we check the inventory, there'll be a load of expired stuff. Oh, not quite. We managed to get there just in time. I also only really trade in stuff in MR that actually sells. So my orders don't really expire because they sell. But we can look here. So that one was 3 million. A load of people have undercut it, which is fine. We can undercut them because I'm not too worried at this stage about perfection in it, and that wasn't a huge percentage undercut, and I'm pretty confident I bought those for less. So yeah, you get to this point where you're rich enough that you can kind of just accept the loss and just drop your price down and then move with the markets a bit easier, and that is a great place to be, especially when you spread out a lot. Broker relations is useful if you are setting up buy orders and sell orders. Advanced broker relations doesn't do anything, I don't think. Does it? Have I got that wrong? I've trained it, so it must do something. So this is for relisting. Advanced broker relations is if you're... So what I just did there was a relist, so that makes relist cheaper. And broker relations basically takes the cost down, which is very good. And you can see I haven't really trained anything else. I've trained accounting. So accounting and broker relations are what's going to reduce your flat fee. And then I think you just need marketing to train some of the other stuff. Yeah, and then these are kind of, there's a lot of don't worry about customs code expertise. That's a PI skill. Really shouldn't be in trade. Should be in PI, but whatever. Visibility day trading, not really required if you're in one station. Yeah, the reason I got confused is customs code expertise. I remembered there was one of the skills that's like nothing to do with trading, and it's that one. Yeah, don't train customs codes expertise. Just go to nullsec and use their PI. It's easier, and basically there isn't a barrier to doing that. Not really, anyway. So the Amar character doesn't really have an effective... I used to have a specific trade list for Amar, and that's why the character's kind of drifting off and not trading very much at the moment. Does have 11 billion ISK in it though. Wow. I mean, these were the kind of things that were listed. So, bit of ammo, some shiny mods. These are the kind of things you can move to Amar. But the reason we've come to Amar and is to show you about specialized equipment. So, if we type in Sancha, the NPCs that are around Amar are all the Sancha NPCs. So you're going to get true Sancha items. So if we look, we should be able to see... Trying to pick something that's used a fair bit that people like. People like these EMPs. So we'll go back to our Jita character here. Am I going to be proven right? So I am. So this True Sancha Energy Neutralizer, it drops a lot in Amar. It doesn't drop anywhere near Jita. So you can buy this in Amar for 39 million and move it to Jita to sell for 48. So this is the opposite, and it's rare, and it's one of those niche markets you can utilize. Another one I know about is you can put buy orders up for Sisters of Eve items near the Sisters of Eve level 4 mission hubs, and you'll buy them cheap enough to export them to the other trade hubs and sell them for profit. That's something that I did when I was first starting out as a trader. It's only going to make you, a few 100 million ISK every so often, but it's very good ISK, like it's very reliable, and it's not very well competed. So for a new player, going to the places where things are made, mission hubs, or in the case of Amar, it's just all the NPCs exist in the south of Eve and not in the north. The Sancha in particular. If you can learn these things about the game, and these are things that you might pick up yourselves. It's very true for real life as well. If you know about a business that you've just had an interest in for your whole life, then you're well placed above the average person to understand that business and kind of manipulate it with a business yourself. Saying that as somebody who doesn't run a business and doesn't know anything about business, but that's a tip that kind of finance people have always said to me, is that if you know about the subject matter, then you're better placed to utilize that for your own gains. So if you rat somewhere, if you do Garista ratting, you know where that is, right? You know where the near trade hubs are. Go to the trade hubs that are far away and check the Garista items, and I guarantee you they'll be more expensive, and you can export them there and sell them for profit. The other thing you can do is these trade hubs, they'll be less competitive for purchasing certain things. So if you look at for example, salvage materials. So if we're looking at Jita here. So there's loads of orders for 30,000 ISK for melted capacitor consoles. So 30,000 ISK for a salvage item is a slightly expensive salvage item. It's not crazy expensive. Amar's competitive for salvage, right? So let's do a different item. Single alloy crystal. Appears to be competitive anyway. Yeah, it's quite competitive, Amar. Let's load up the... Oh, that's not going to work, is it? No. Just trying to think of an item I could show you that may be good. I mean, to be honest with you, we could just do this, can't we? Oop, boom. If we just... Oh, the brain power is losing. We're losing brain power today. So if we just go down the Amar character and click through them, you'll find stuff that's not very competitive. Here we go. Electromechanical hull sheeting. Now, probably because people aren't selling it. That's probably what's going on there. 750 in GS. So you gotta be careful here. They're selling it high, but is anyone actually buying it? Kind of. A few. I'd be careful with that one. This is all of Ancient is the Tech 3 stuff, so be a bit cautious with Ancient. Armor plates. Can get armor plates in Amar for 34. How much can we get armor plates for in GA? 34 as well, 33. So maybe salvage was the wrong thing to choose in MR space. Power circuits. Yeah, seems like the people in MR love to... MR is quite a established place for mission runners and high-sec corporations, things like that. It's also very close to the Goon Swarm space, so I think they kind of put stuff on this market as well when they can't sell it in Goon space. So sometimes you do get these areas, like MR's got a very high density of activity, second only to Jita. Yeah, it's possible to make money as an alpha trading. You have limited trade slots, so you have to, what you have to do is you have to set up a few characters to get more trade slot access. And also your fees are higher, so you have to choose items that are higher profit, and those items are going to be things like blueprints is quite a good one for alphas. So I'll just show you an example. So near MR they sell frequency crystal blueprints. So multi-frequency is the most common frequency crystal blueprint, and you can see we can buy it off the non-player characters for 400,000, and that's that crazy 31 million ISK thing. No one's buying that, but some people are buying it for 3 million. So what you could do is you could go over to these stations, you could buy a few, and you could put them up here for like 1 million, and that's more than enough profit margin, because it's 100% profit margin, because you're going from 400,000 to 1 million, right? What you could also do is you could use the courier contracts. As an alpha though, you only have one courier contract, which is tricky. So someone is selling them in Jita, and they're selling them for 20%. So, you know, you could still do this. You could still get multi-frequency blueprints, but you notice there's no NPC trade orders. So this looks like how much that costs. And do people buy it? Yeah, people buy it. Not very much. But you make a few million ISK as an alpha trading in multi-frequency blueprints if you can get that market. Again, you've got to do your research, but these are blueprint originals. They are something that you can move around and you can sell for profit in the different areas where they don't have them. Typically, so Amar is where all the Amarians live, so the Amar blueprints are there. So you've got your lasers, you've got your armor, you've got your specifically the ships that the Amar use. So if we look here, there aren't any of these frigate blueprints on the NPC orders. So the Punisher is a really common frigate. Let's do it this way. Let's look through and find out what the most commonly bought frigate blueprint in Jita is. My guess was right, so it's the Punisher. So if we look in Amar for the Punisher blueprint, we can see it's 2.875. So we could bring some over and compete with this person. He's only one person, and they listed 3 days ago. You could come and you could compete with them and sell for slightly less and take some of that market, and you'd make a few 100,000 ISK per one of those blueprints you can sell. If we look at the Kaldari stuff, you can see the Kaldari live near Jita, so they have their blueprints there. The Galente don't have theirs there though, and neither do the Minmatar. And it's all about exploiting people's laziness. They go to these trade hubs to buy all of their shopping at once. They don't want to go anywhere else to buy it, right? So you just got to find the items that make sense to move there and move them there, or you buying stuff in Jita to move to the other hubs just because nobody else has done it yet, you know, and people will go to their local hubs to buy local stuff. Has anyone got any questions? I'm going to probably close it up. Could you post the websites that you use to look at the profitability for webs? Yeah, I can. It's called, I mean, if you're in Horde and you join the Discords and you join the industry Discords, you'll get access to all of these kind of links, and they're all in the pins. So the pins on the industry Discords are really, really useful. Yeah, I don't do any moving. So the advantage of not ever moving anything yourself is you never risk your money. So if I buy 1 billion ISK worth of items in Jita and I use a courier contract, I set the collateral to 1.2 billion. If they die on the way, I'll get 1.2 billion ISK, right? If I die on the way, I'll lose my courier ship and all of the items. So I'll lose, whereas I cannot lose if I use a courier contract. You've just got to get the rates right, and you've just got to make sure the collateral is higher than the value of the items, and you can't lose. And it's It's just maybe waiting a bit longer. But if you're in this for the long term as a trader, you won't really mind that. There's very rare examples where you need something right now. And if you do need something right now, you can just hike the price up a little bit, and just, you know, put a higher price than anyone else is offering for couriering, and someone will take it straight away and run. And you can put the limit as a day for the lowest limit for how long they've got to do it. And that's, you know, a day is pretty quick. If you are in nullsec with the Beam Freight guys or Dark Horse, you can contact them for a rush job and it'll go quicker. There are HiSec groups who do hauling as well, who you can contract directly, and you can get like a more tailored experience. I don't use them because I found a lot of success with the public courier contracts, but here's one I can link. That's PushX. They're very famous. They've been around for a long time. You can see their list. So they've got 175 courier contracts waiting, and they've got 8 in progress. But they complete 172 a day. So they'll get through those 175 today. They do lots of different types of contract. And yeah, they've got their calculator. All of these services nowadays have a calculator. Yeah. There you go. So I think we're going to close out there, guys. We've ended with 36 of you in the chat, which is epic for something like this. Yeah, I don't know how people do couriering full time. All hats off to them though, because if they didn't, I would have to do it myself, and that would be a nightmare. And I probably wouldn't be a trader if that was the case, you know. No worries. I'll upload the stream. I'm trying to upload them to YouTube because Twitch seems to take them down after a little bit of time. Even if I put them on the collections and things like that, it seems to still take them down. Or maybe I'm not a big enough streamer or something. So I'll try and upload them to YouTube, and it's just Eve Mentorship YouTube. It's the same tag, you know. So you just search that on YouTube and you'll be able to find them. There's a few other industry things on there. All right. Have a good day all, and thank you for joining me. Have a great day.